Got it.
All right. Hi, everybody. Just wait a few more minutes for a couple of stragglers, and then we'll get started in a couple minutes here.
While we're waiting, would you guys mind coming off of mute and just introducing yourselves and where you're from, and if this is your first race, Boulder 70.3? There we go. Mic isn't working. We got one. Somebody's paying attention. At least we got that going.
That's right. That's right. Well, she's a smart cookie.
Oh, there she goes.
She left to come back to probably reboot it. How's it going, John?
Going good.
Did you catch that?
No, rough connection.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can you hear me now?
Yes. How are you?
Cool. I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Ready for taper, right?
Yes, I'm ready. Sorry, I'm in the car, so there's music in the background.
Okay. Cool.
I am from Boulder, Colorado, and this is my first Boulder 70.3 and my first half Ironman.
Sweet.
And your first time. Cool.
Hi, Trudy. Are those toes or fingers?
Hopefully they're fingers.
All right, I'll give one more minute and we'll get started here. Anybody else want to introduce themselves and tell us if this is their first Boulder 70.3?
Yeah, if mine working now. Hi, I'm John. I'm in Longmont. This will be my point and my
Cutting out there, but
All right, well, let's get started. Hi, everybody. I am Mike Ritchie, and I want to introduce you to Dae Sheanin. Dave has done about 20 or so 70.3s, probably 5 or 6 54.30s, which relatively the same, pretty close to the same course. Did his first triathlon in 1988. He's been a coach with D3 for 11 years, coming up on 12, I think. He's getting ready for Ironman Alaska, so he will not be at the race, unfortunately. I'll be out there. We'll have the D3 tent. I'm gonna let Dave take it over and give you the rundown on the race, and you guys can hold your Q. You want the Q&A to go during the talk, Dave? Or you
yeah,
wait?
whenever you can.
Okay.
Yeah, interrupt me if you like. That's fine.
All right, I'll let you take it over, Dave. Go ahead.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I will kind of hit this in a sort of traditional format, looking at course maps and so on, but there are a few overarching ideas that we want to kind of keep in mind with this race. Each race is unique in its own way, and Boulder, even if you're local, which I guess a number of people on this call are, still presents some interesting challenges on race day that we just want to be thinking about. So just that one general thing to think about ahead of time is at this distance at 70.3, if you're stepping up to this for the first time, or if you've done it a bunch but have not raced in the Boulder conditions, which is usually heat in the beginning of August, it's super important to have your nutrition hydration plan dialed in. And if you've not been practicing and trying to figure out exactly what you need, how many bottles you're going through in an hour, how much electrolyte, what fuel you're going to eat, and so on. We're getting close to taper time, but there's still, like this weekend, there's still time to do a longer ride course preview and get yourself a sense for how you want to fuel and hydrate out there. The heat can be no joke. So, we could have the heat like we had last weekend. My weather time machine says, maybe 80s on that weekend in Boulder, but obviously they're just guessing. But keep in mind as we go over the run course, it's the run course in particular, just super exposed. There's not a ton of shade. There's a little bit here and there, but that nutrition and hydration plan is really going to be a key to your race. So you don't want to throw away all the good training that you've been doing up to this point because you didn't plan to have the right number of water bottles on the bike or the right number of calories when you're running or so on. So let's keep that in mind. Let me see if I can share screens here. We'll just go through kind of swim, bike, run, and walk through the course. And the big takeaway that I want you to walk away with are, a sense of what this course is, what kind of challenges are on it, and where you can blow up your race. So basically where the people who are not watching this webinar are going to give you time where you've done work where they have not. So Boulder Res, this is the swim map. One thing to notice is the building is over here. If you can see where my mouse is on this side, and the parking lot is over here. So if you do stroke and strides or have you done other races from the res other than the Ironman races, typically the swim course goes out like this and comes back around this way. This goes from a little swim beach kind of by the boat marina, which is over here, and the swim heads off to the northeast. So it's a different course. It's a different area of the res that you're swimming in. One of the great benefits of this is that you are really never swimming directly into the rising sun. The sun will come up over here in the east. So when you make this turn, you will have some, but for the most part, the long legs are not into the sun. Long leg in, long leg back, which is nice. Ironman does a really good job of marking the course with buoys roughly every 100 meters. Oftentimes they're numbered, so you'll just you'll count your 19 buoys or whatever, and then you're back in. And they usually do just like they show on this thing. They'll switch colors when you get to the halfway point, and then you're coming back around. The red buoys are your turn buoys. Those are the ones you have to go around on your right shoulder. The other ones are generally sighting buoys. If you were on a little bit on the inside of those, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It'll make the course a little bit longer because you've got to work your way in and then work your way out. But if you're looking for some calmer water, that could be an option for you to swim close to the buoys on the inside, but make sure you go around those corner buoys on the left. One note about the swim, I think it's a great idea to have multiple pairs of goggles and bring them with you on race day. So the way the res looks when it's bright and sunny is very different than if it's overcast that morning. So we obviously don't know what the cloud cover will be. I typically will show up to any race with 3 sets of goggles. One is essentially an indoor goggle, like blue tint or clear for those overcast mornings. A set of just normal mirrored goggles, and then I also have a set of like super dark for like bright sunlight goggles. Given the fact that this course does not go straight into the sun at any point, I would think a normal tinted goggle would be good. But if your goggles have kind of seen better days and they get foggy and they won't unfog, or they're scratched up or what have you, you got 2.5 weeks to go buy yourself a replacement and just test them out and make sure they're fit right and you're comfortable with them on race day. If there's anyone who's not swum in the Boulder Res, just I don't know everyone on the call here. There's no real water clarity. Sometimes on a good day you can kind of see your hand when it enters. So just expect when your face is in the water, it's dark, and then you're looking up to sight. One of the things just a reminder for open water swimming is that your speed into T1 is it's not how fast you go, it's your trajectory, right? It's your speed plus your the direction that you're heading essentially. So sighting every 6 to 8 is probably a good call, at least until you get yourself established on this course. With the rolling start, it's like a long line of people, so you won't necessarily have a big wave of people spraying off in multiple directions. But I would say for at least the first 2-3 buoys, you want to be sighting every 6 to 8. Make sure you're pulling in a straight line, and then you might be able to go longer in between sighting the rest of the way. Okay. You'll come out here. This is the marina. So basically this right here is that first dam head right here. So you're very close to the dam head as you come back in. And then this area here, these parking lots will be your transition area right here. So you'll come out. I don't know exactly what the flow is on this, but it'll be some sort of pass through. Usually you'll come in and you'll go through, and then you'll have to run around the outside with your bike and then come up here to the road. And we'll get to the bike course in just a second here. It will be a little bit uphill to get that bike mounted. And I have seen for this race, it depends on exactly where they put that mountain line. Sometimes that mountain line is like on the uphill or just right at the very top. So if you're the kind of person who likes to leave your shoes clipped into the bike, you may want to consider running a little bit past the mountain line until you get on flatter territory or even slight downhill of that road at that point, so that you can get a good flying mount. If you are wearing your shoes when you run out of transition, not quite as big a deal, but I've definitely noticed that transition line at the Ironman races, the half and the full, where they put that mount line, it gets kind of clogged up, can be a little bit dangerous. So just be aware of the fact that you do not have to mount at the mount line, you just have to mount past the mount line. So you can definitely go by if you want to. One other note about the swim, just noting that the wetsuit optional cutoff is 76.2 degrees for Ironman. The res has been in the low 70s, maybe as high as 74 in the last couple of weeks. With this super hot weather, it could be warm. When I did Ironman, it was basically the same weekend. It was first weekend of August in 2015. It was a non-wetsuit swim, or as a wetsuit optional swim. But if you want to be eligible for awards, you needed to go without a wetsuit. So just be aware of it. I know that they always try to make the race wetsuit legal if they can. I know that's in everyone's interest, but be aware of the fact that in August, first weekend in August, it's in the realm of possibilities that this could be above 76.2, and then you would have to make the decision at that point. You can still wear a wetsuit, but you'd be ineligible for awards and world slots if you choose to wear a wetsuit above 76.2. Okay, questions before we move on to looking at that bike course? All right, let's see if I can move this out of the way here and jump onto this bike course map. So I've got it zoomed way out right now. I'll zoom in to kind of show you a couple of key sections on this course. So this course is, relatively new in the history of this race. The 70.3 Boulder was a different race, a 54:30 race before it was this. And they've used a number of different courses in Boulder. This one has kind of stuck for the last few years. It all stays inside the county, which is good for the race directors. And it's got some interesting features and lends to some interesting challenges here. So the first thing you'll notice here, if I can get this zoomed in enough here, is if you're used to racing at the res, you're used to exiting. So here's the res. You're used to exiting this way and down 50, whatever this is, 52nd Street that goes out toward J Road. Or here it is actually. Well, no, it's right here. That is not going to be used for the race at all. You're going to come out of transition and you're going to actually head west out of transition. And you're going to go circle the parking lot on your bike first. So this is where the entry station is, right here where my mouse is. So you're going to go right, circle the parking lot, and then you're going to come out through that, where the fire station is. So this is an unusual path in and out of the res, generally not open to the public. It'll be open on race day. Big single loop bike course. You'll come out of the res onto the diagonal. They will have basically the west side of the diagonal closed to traffic. So all the cars will be on the east side. And this is just going to be a wide open racetrack here. This first section of the course on the diagonal. So you're just going to jog yourself up to 55th Street. That's where that veterinary clinic is. You'll make a U-turn there. You're staying still on the same side of the highway. And you're going to zoom up to basically to Oxford, toward Longmont before you make another U-turn and come back. Again, you're still staying on the same side of the highway here, okay? And you'll come all the way back to 63rd. So this section here it's got some rollers on it, but it's generally kind of, you know, flattish and fastish by Boulder standards. If we look at what we're looking at here, that's roughly this section of the course here. Little bit of up and down, but for the most part, not a lot of elevation gain here, probably net zero while you're on the diagonal highway there, okay? Just a good note on this is a time for you to settle in after the swim. Don't try to crush the watts here. This is the time to kind of get yourself dialed in on the bike, start with your nutrition plan. Maybe by the time you've, hit this U-turn, you should already be sipping on your bottle. Get the heart rate down from the swim, get your breathing where you want it to be, and just a nice steady effort through here. There's no real places to take chances. You don't want to burn matches this early in the ride. This is just simply sailing along the diagonal. Note that the wind will typically come from the west. Could be northwest, could be southwest, but it'll be in your face as you come back down this direction. On the first time that you're on the diagonal, the main section, it's early, and so it's likely that winds won't really be a factor at this point, but you might get a slight tailwind push out and a slight headwind, pulling you back on the way back in. You get almost back to the res, you get to 63rd Street, and you'll make this kind of hard right, more than a 90-degree turn here, and start heading north. There's a little out and back on Monarch to get you the full distance here, and so this is all pretty flat sections here. Out and back on Monarch, a little bit of downhill as you go east, a little bit of uphill as you go west, which is sort of the general pattern for these roads. But for the most part, nothing significant in terms of features here. You'll get back onto 63rd, make the left on Niwot, and now we're going to climb up to 36. This is Highway 36 up here. This is, roughly a 4-ish mile pull going up here. This is kind of false flat all the way up to, roughly here, maybe a little before 30th Street. So probably 3.5 miles, maybe of false flat, 1 to 1.5% grade. Good time to just be tucked in arrow, especially if you've got a little wind in your face. This is you don't want to be sitting up on those base bars here. Just nice steady watts as you come through. A little before 30th, after you make this turn here, there's a little rise in the road, and you'll drop down, a little bump here, and then a good little climb getting up to 36. So this is the first place where people could blow up their race. You're still pretty early, you're before mile 20, and this is a place where you might bring your watts up to high tempo, maybe even below threshold, somewhere in your low zone 4. But you want to control yourself going up here. It's still early in the race. Your hotshot folks are going to be very excited. This is a great place to mind your watts and don't burn a match. The climbs as you get up close to 36, there are 3 of them. They kind of kick at the end, and it's better to give up a few seconds here and then have the legs for later on in the race. We'll talk about what happens when you get out to 73rd and past hygiene and so on. So just be aware, a little roller, or small roller, little bit bigger roller, and then a little sustained climb getting up to Neva. Probably less than a mile in total of what you're talking about here, but just a good place to pay attention, watch your watts here, okay? As we head out onto the highway is going to dip down here, and then it's going to climb back up and flatten out as you approach Nelson. So just to give you a sense down here. So we're talking about these are your little rollers here going up Neva. This is your little climb up to the highway. That's your little dip, and then we're going to start dropping down Nelson here. So this is a big long descent, and that descent is this section right here. It's pretty quick. You'll probably in this section right probably from right here to your right around this range, you'll probably spin out your gears. Even if you're on 5311, something in that range, you'll be going, if you're of this type, you'll be going 40-45 miles an hour through here, probably too fast to be pedaling. Just tuck in and rest. It's a good spot to kind of take a little break if you need one and you're not quite midway through the course at this point, but very fast downhill. The road's in good shape. It's kind of curved. You'll go around. It's not really blind, but some folks may be more comfortable out of arrow in this little section here. You kind of go through a little shaded area. And and then you're going to continue the descent all the way down to 65th. It's a not quite as steep a descent here, so you'll be pedaling through this section, but definitely downhill and likely tailwind as you head out to 65th. 65th is a left turn. This will roll a little bit, but is largely flat. And then you're going to make a left and hit that second climb. St. Vrain falls flat, like roughly up to this area here where there's a dirt road. Couple miles, that last mile, it kicks again. And this is one of the steeper kicks. So if we go down here, this is coming down. This is probably your turn onto St. Vrain right here. And then we're going to climb back up, and you can kind of see it gets nice and steep right at the top there. So same thing that I was talking about before, not a great place to go, zone 5, VO2, just get yourself up over there, use your gears. This is definitely small ring territory here, and get yourself up onto that highway. You don't want to burn a match really at any point in the 70.3, but if you're going to do it, I'd rather you save it till later and not just do it on a feature here. This is where probably your less experienced riders who are going to have problems are likely to, blow up. It's literally this climb here, steep, and kind of catches you at the end if you've already been kind of grinding your way up here. Onto the highway, we go downhill and then a right turn on Hygiene. This is also a little steep drop at the front end, and then just a gradual downhill all the way down, almost to 75th. There's a set of train tracks down here. You'll turn around, I think, just right before those tracks. You won't have to go over them. So a U-turn off of speed, and then you're going to grind your way back up. And again, headwind to the west likely. The last maybe half mile or so kicks on this one here, and it gets pretty steep. Again, here it is. This is it. You're kind of going up, gets steep up at the top. Once you get here, you got about 20 miles to go, give or take, maybe a little under, and it's net downhill from here. It's flat and downhill. So I'm sorry, here. So you've done most of your climbing work is in the bag at this point right here. Okay. This is where folks who have paced this wrong will start feeling it on this climb, and they'll be trying to recover as they roll through here. Challenging to do, even though it's downhill, because we're going to hit a long flat section where you've got to do some work here. So it's not free. It's not like it's a big descent from here. This section is a big descent, but after that you still got 15 miles to go where you've got to do the work. 66, usually a tailwind, kind of rides like a downhill. Technically, you can see it's a little bit up. This is probably this section down, and then it's a little bit up here. But this ride's kind of free and easy. Good chance to give yourself one extra gear, spin a little bit faster on this section because the momentum will carry you. And then with about 10 miles to go, you're going to make that right turn off the highway and down south on 75th. Depending on which way the wind's blowing, you'll probably have a cross here. You could have a little crossing headwind at this point because the wind is often from the southwest this time of year. But we're just going to head this long straightaway. It does roll a little bit. There's a little climb right here, little descent. Let's see, a little descent right around where are we? Nelson Road. Little descent here, a little climb here. But for the most part, this is kind of flattish territory. Good place to check in on your cadence. Make sure you're fueling. Sometimes it's hard to fuel when you're on these flats here. So if you need to catch up, this is a good little spot to do that on this straightaway and down through this section here. Okay. Again, mostly flat, couple little bump right here, a little downhill bump here. We're going to get back on the highway at this point, and you're retracing your steps just a little bit back to transition. So you're going to actually go past where you made that right turn. Make your right turn at the fire station, and you're cruising into transition at this point. Okay. It's a relatively fast course, maybe not a 70.3 PR course unless this is your very first 70.3, then it will be. But it's just a question of figuring out where to meter out your effort. I on a course like this, I like to save my effort for the end. So these last 15 miles or so, once I climb here, this is where I would be trying to make a statement if I'm looking to try to move myself up in the standings. If my goal is a just finish kind of strategy and I want to be nice and steady, then it's nice and steady the whole way through here. Okay. And then out to transition. Total climbing, we say on this course is about 2,000 feet. That's probably about right. might be just a hair light, but it's nothing, super long sustained climbs, but you do have 3 significant uphill sections on this course. Questions about the bike before I pop onto the run? We can take some questions at the end if there are any. Okay, run course. Looks like it's looked like in past years. It goes in the opposite direction through this little section here. So the run used to go this way. Now it goes this way. Couple things to note. This little section here is not a section you probably run on unless you've done Boulder Peak or another Olympic that's out there. So we'll talk about that section in just a little bit. So let me zoom in on this here and we'll give you some pieces here. So you completed the swim right in this section here. This is where you came out from the swim. Transitions in the same place. You're going to start the run. It looks like at the west end of transition, and you'll start running out to the dam head. This is like less than a quarter mile probably to get here. It's paved here. Then you're getting on dirt. So this section right here, if you've done stroke and stride, long, flat course. It's groomed. It's in pretty good shape. It's dirt, but it's in nice groomed condition around this little bump, and then onto the second dam head here. And then you're all pretty much flat all the way up to this point, at which point you'll drop down this little S curve and then climb up. And this is the gate that exits you out onto 63rd. So we're going to go out this gate and head north on 63rd. So you'll come off the dirt here, those first couple miles, and you're on pavement for this mile or so going up to Monarch Road. Okay. You'll be on the shoulder. They'll have, traffic, they'll probably have coned off, so you have traffic diverted away from you, but you'll be on the left-hand shoulder. So you would be running facing traffic if their cars were coming through here. And you'll make the left turn onto Monarch. This is your, the Monarch mile. This is a classic in Boulder. It's basically a straight mile, almost exactly, to the yard here. It's a false flat, probably 1% or so all the way to the west. There is some shade through this section here and a little bit of shade on Monarch here and there. It's kind of sporadic. But these are the least exposed areas of the course. But just be aware that that it's, this is a warm course as you're running, and temps will be warming up by the afternoon.
Can I say one thing about Monarch?
Yeah, please.
I've done it a million times and repeats on it. It's about 20 seconds a mile slower, like even going fast.
Yeah.
At a steady half Ironman pace, it might be 30 seconds a mile off what your pace is or your goal. Just so
you're on dirt, you're going uphill, but this is it right here. This section right here is it. And so most of your elevation gain on this course is going to be on Monarch, basically both times through. So you're you'll come back, you'll go only about a quarter or so of the way back down Monarch. This will be nice and this little nice fast, quarter to third of a mile here. And then you're going to jump onto an access road. This is normally not open to the public. You'll come along here. There's a canal that feeds into the res. I call this the certain death canal because that's what the signs say there. So if you need to cool yourself off, this is not the place to jump in the water. Stay on the road. I'm not sure if you'll be on the east or west side of the canal here. If you're on the west side, it's like double track. If you're on the east side, it's more groomed road. It seems recently they've had this west side open for these races, and so that's double track. It's not perfect condition, but you kind of need to pay attention to where your foot's landing. But it's not it's not like mountain climbing or something like that. Pretty flat through this section. You'll come out. There's a little bridge you'll cross over that canal here, and then if you're on the west side of it, and then little down and up through this section here as you get back toward Coot Lake, and then we're back to pretty much flats the rest of the way here. You'll come around where you headed out before and head back in toward transition. So this is a little down and up now, nice and flat. You'll get to transition, not quite all the way. You'll get basically to the end of the dirt. You'll make a U-turn and you're going to do it again. Okay. Overall, this course is, pretty much as flat as Boulder gets, honestly. These are the two climbs that Mike was talking about here. Like I said, they're 1 to 1.5% grade, probably falls flat. You can definitely see the end as soon as you make the turn onto Monarch up here. You can see the turnaround way up here. So that can be kind of a challenging condition when you're running, if you're just constantly focused on that endpoint. One of the tricks that I like to use for the long straightaways on the run is to kind of look downward, push the dot, as they say. So you're just going to kind of look ahead of you, maybe 5 to 10 meters, and count 100 left foot strikes. And then when you get to 100, look up for 10 foot strikes, and then look down for 100 again, up for 10, and or 90 and 10 or something along those lines. But basically, if you do that, you're going to be looking up maybe 6 or 7 times over the course of this run, maybe 8 times, something like that. And each time you look up, the end gets closer. So as opposed to just staring at it, it looks like it's never moving toward you. Good little trick for this section here, because you can see it the whole way. Not a bad trick all the way around, but definitely for these sections where these long straightaways, it's a great little way to think about it. You'll come back same way we did second loop, except you're going to go past transition this time, and the finish line is closer to the traditional beach area. This is your normal beach area, so it's on the grass here, just past the transition area. So when you get off the dirt here, you're on pavement the last maybe half a mile or something like that. So again, the only paved sections are here and then here, and that's it. Everything else is dirt. Most of it's groomed in pretty good shape here. So I would say just a couple other notes about thinking about this course. One is, if you do get the heat, take advantage of these aid stations. You can see where they are. Spend time looking at this course map and kind of figuring out your plan here. The Ironman has been very, very good. I don't want to jinx them with having ice at all these stations, even if you're late in the race. And if it's hot out, don't just think about taking fuel. Think about ice down your pants, ice in your sports bra. If you're a sports bra person, try to keep that core temperature down. Stay on your fueling. Really, like I mentioned, the only places where you got shade are kind of here and a little bit up here. There's one tree right here that provides a little bit of shade, but that's it. Otherwise, very exposed course. All this is open here. You come out of a tiny little grove of trees here, but this is all open and exposed, all open and exposed. Your one tree, all open and exposed, all the way down through here. So make sure you've got a plan for racing in the heat. Let's see. That's a good sense of what you're going to be facing on the day. Mike, do you have anything else to add that I may have missed, or if anybody's got questions, now's the time to put them in the chat or
yeah. So I do remember, because there's so many people doing the race, it's a long transition, right? That's a long run, and you mentioned that if you clip in, you might be running barefoot for a long time, and if you wear your shoes and then mount later, you're running in your bike shoes for a long time. So you have to kind of choose what you want to do. But it is a long transition, right? I mean, it's probably almost a half a mile.
Yeah, probably a third of a mile or half a mile by the time you're all done going all the way through it. You can pick up your bike shoes and carry them with you to the mountain line, but if you do that, make sure you get way past the line, because there will be people standing at the line clogging things up. So if you don't want to run in your bike shoes, that is an option, but be aware that mountain line's not the place to put your shoes on.
Trudy had a great question. She said, are there any porta potties on the bike and run course? Certainly the the run course. I'm not sure on the bike though.
That's a great question. I think they oftentimes will put a porta potty out there at the aid stations.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
not,
the volunteers have to go to the bathroom, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about where on this course you would have it. Yeah, not much option. There is where is that Dodd Lake? Is that right here off of Niwot Road? But there's nothing there. I don't think that there is. I don't think you'd have a shot at a porta potty on this course unless they drop them off.
Yep.
Yeah. Just trying to see.
I think there has to be one, but I don't know where it would be.
They must. I want to say that they drop them off at the aid stations.
Yep, I would say that's right.
Yeah, that would be common. Yeah, good
That would make
question. Okay. Other questions or comments here? All right. Well, if you do have questions, feel free to be in touch with Mike or with me directly. Happy to get those answered. If anything comes up in the next couple weeks before you hit that race, Mike can get a hold of me. My email is just my first name at my last name, dave@sheanin.com. The way it is in my little name box up here. And I just want to wish everybody good luck. This is an awesome race. Boulder's an awesome venue for the folks who come out of town. From out of town, they get a little enamored of the views and maybe don't put all their effort out because they're too busy sightseeing. So if you're used to seeing these roads, it feels like the same old roads to us. But I would encourage you, just as you're doing your last bit of training, every time you're kind of heading south and southwest or whatever, pay attention to that view. It's pretty beautiful course out here. It's just that we ride it all the time, and so you kind of get lost in the, oh yeah, this is my regular routine. But enjoy. This is one of the more challenging races on the circuit, not just because of the features, but because of the elevation and the heat. And it's a good place to make a statement. But it's also a good place to just be nice and steady. Make sure that you're riding within your plan, running within your plan, and staying fueled and hydrated, and you'll have yourself a great day.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, everyone.